9 out of 10 dentists recommend we throw the 10th dentist into the volcano. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, we're going to be sitting back in my very... The chair is not being squeaky today. It is refusing to squeak. And I don't know why. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to be sitting back, relaxing, and talking about tourists, newcomers, gatekeeping, and other high emotion words that some people have very strong opinions about. You see, it is a natural part of life that hobbies are going to have newcomers. Okay? Spoiler alert. Once upon a time, you were a newcomer to whatever your favorite hobby is. Surprise! But yeah, it's a fact of life that as hobbies grow, as card games gain audiences, those audiences are going to largely be made up of non-enfranchised individuals, people who are either relatively new and are largely unfamiliar with the game in question, or who are, for one reason or another, not going to be in that particular game for a very long time. Now, there's a lot of different terms that you see on the internet these days, and a lot of very, very strong opinions you see for those various terms, but let me use this video as an opportunity to lay down my own opinions about gatekeeping and newcomers, tourists, everything else we talked about in the beginning of the video. You see, there are countless reasons someone might be attracted to a given card game, okay? Either they are a fan of the IP, if it is a card game like the Bleach TCG. You know, when I was a youngster, I loved the Bleach anime. Thought it was awesome. I loved the opening theme song for the first season. So naturally, when a Bleach TCG came around, I had to try it. Right? Same thing happens for One Piece fans. Same thing happens for Pokemon fans, Digimon fans, etc. They were fans of the property from elsewhere, and now that there's a card game, they're going to try it. The same thing is true for a lot of Magic the Gathering fans getting into the game now. There's a lot of people getting into Magic the Gathering because of Universes Beyond. That's right! There are plenty of people joining into Final Fantasy joining Magic because of Final Fantasy, or because of Avatar, or because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then there are people who get into card games because it's popular. Fad and trend chasers have been a thing for literally thousands of years. And we see it most often, I think, with Pokemon, but that's partially because Pokemon tends to be the biggest, most standout example of card games in the modern age. We've seen it during most of the previous bull run from 2021-ish into 2021, where a lot of people were getting into Pokemon because it was popular to get into Pokemon. And then there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's the same as people who get into Pogs because Pogs are popular. Or Beyblade because Beyblade was popular. Or Labubus because Labubus are popular. You know, people are going to chase trends, and it's just something that's going to happen. There's going to be people who are brought into card games because they are part of a friend group that has not have anything else in common beyond one or two arbitrary things they like, and enough of their friends like a given card game, so they try it out just to have one more thing in common with their friends, right? And countless more reasons, okay? There are as many reasons to join a given card game as there are stars in the night sky, I'm willing to bet. Ranging from something as innocuous as you like a piece of art to some crazy mobster is threatening your family if you don't try out his favorite indie TCG. I'm willing to bet that's happened to at least one person out there. You know, it's a big world. But in response to new people joining a given TCG, joining a given hobby. There also tends to be a lot of strong opinions towards newer players and even people perceived as tourists to a card game. And I'm here to say that it's not really something you can easily generalize with. You know, I do have strong opinions on people who would never realistically be in a given hobby for a long time, trying to throw their weight around. You know, people like to say that gatekeeping is wrong, okay? For instance. But I don't necessarily believe gatekeeping is intrinsically wrong as long as it's used correctly. When you gatekeep just to keep anybody you don't like out of playing your game, then you're probably gatekeeping wrong. But when someone wants to play or collect or whatever with your game and they just joined and they start making sweeping demands that you make changes to your hobby to appeal to them, well, then I believe gatekeeping is good. Or at the very least justified, I should say. You should never be forced to change what you enjoy to appeal to someone who would otherwise not be purchasing it or engaging with it one bit. But that really does have to be a case-by-case basis. You can't look at every new person who joins in a hobby and treat them the same, because there's going to be, as I said, countless reasons one might want to join in a hobby. Whether it's trend setting, trying to push an agenda, trying to collect every single Leonardo card for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because they're a huge Leonardo nerd who has a shrine dedicated to him since they were 12, or just because they like one of the artists. One of these things was not like the other. There's going to be different approaches to the card games you engage with, and there's going to be different approaches I think you should take when it comes to engaging with newer players. Sure, do I believe you should give everyone an earnest, good faith introduction to the game? Yes, absolutely. But it's more than that. It's more like, some people are going to play Magic the Gathering because they really just want to be the best that there ever was when it comes to Modern, the format. Or do people play Modern anymore? Pre-Modern. People play pre-Modern. There we go. And then there's going to be people who get into Magic the Gathering just because they really liked Arena, the Magic the Gathering novel, and they wanted to play the card game that inspired Arena, the Magic the Gathering novel. You should read Arena, the Magic the Gathering novel. And there's going to be people who, again, hop into Magic because Final Fantasy or whatever. And you can't really treat all those people the same. Some are going to stay with Magic for the rest of their lives. Others are going to stay until their local group kind of dissolves. And others, they're only going to be playing Magic for a year or two, which is the average, by the way. And so the best you can honestly do, in my opinion, is to give everyone an earnest welcome to the games you're playing. And really only give them a hostile response if they are in turn acting like an asshole. If someone walks up to you and says, "Hey buddy, I'm such and such and I want to try this game out," you can't just be rude to them for arbitrary reasons. You can't discount their interest in your game for whatever arbitrary reasons, because every individual is going to have a different reason to want to be interested in something. And generalizing or taking a solid approach to every new person who comes your way, it's going to be reductive in the long term, and it's going to result in less overall people enjoying what you enjoy, and that's not necessarily a good thing. First impressions matter, and I'm almost willing to bet if you've been playing Magic for more than, I'd say, 2 years, there's a very real chance that you are someone's very first opponent in Magic the Gathering, and their opinions of the game can be formed very heavily based entirely on how your very one game goes. Believe it or not, that happens quite a bit. Same with Pokemon, same with Yu-Gi-Oh! This applies to every game. I'm choosing Magic because Magic's where I see this get talked about a lot. It helps that Universes Beyond is kind of a divisive concept, right? Where was I at? Yeah. So, the same is also true for the positive interactions when it comes to new players. You can't introduce everyone to the game the same way because not everyone's going to want to know the top tier decks or the lore, or they're not going to want to know the top 3 artists you care about. They're just going to want to know how to play the game and try to get good at it and whatever. Best you can do is try to steer them towards whatever format you enjoy the most. Hope they have fun, right? And try your best. And also, learn to understand when it's a lost cause to try to do something, right? A few weeks ago, actually, a friend of mine and I were sitting down here in the garage, and I was trying to introduce them to Flesh and Blood. And I did the normal spiel. I explained the game, I ran through the basic rules, and then I pulled out 2 of the decks, and I tried introducing them to the game through just playing some rounds. And it clicked with me after about 15 minutes that this person did not enjoy Flesh and Blood. Maybe it was just because I'm bad at explaining things. Maybe it's because the mechanics didn't vibe with them. Whatever. I cued in pretty quick that this guy was just not going to go for it, and that's fine. We moved on to something else. Moved on to Mega Man. God damn, do I love Mega Man. I got an oversized Mega Man card. Hang on one second. One second. Look at this thing. This thing's huge. I love this card game so much. I did not even know they made oversized Mega Man cards. But now that I have it, it's mine. I love it. Cool stuff, cool stuff. But yeah, some things are going to vibe with some people, and they're not going to vibe with others, and that's fine. All you can do, and if there's one thing you take back from this video, there's one thing you learned here today, it's you can't treat everyone the same. Because not everyone's going to have the same reason to engage with your hobby. Okay? And first impressions matter. And more importantly, you want everyone to have fun. Okay? I at the very least believe everyone deserves a good, what's a good way to put it? Everyone deserves the best good faith introduction to a game they can get. Because there's a lot of great games out there, and I personally believe the more people who can enjoy the things you enjoy, the better everyone's life is going to be. Yeah, that's all I got for you kids. Please like, share, and subscribe if you made it to this point in the video. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me, disagree with me, think I'm crazy, or you, for some reason, hate Mega Man. If you hate Mega Man, we're not friends, by the way. I lied. We can still be friends. You'll just be lower on the friend poll than someone who likes Mega Man. But really, that's all I got for you guys. Check out the Patreon if you feel like throwing $1 at me. Check out the Discord if you feel like chatting with me. And all right, that's all the shilling out of the way, right? Yep, I think so. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.